The Twin Twist.
We call this here a little twin.
Twin, that's my twin.
You don't believe me? Go ask the twins.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Twin Twist Show, also known as 2T. With you today is me, Miss Nick, and on the other mic we have...
It's your girl, Lady T, and we are real life twin sisters who are always having conversations about pop culture, current events, and gossip and tea. And we just decided, let's start recording it.
Absolutely. So now we are presenting part 3 of the Music Sermon Madness 90s R&B Bracket. Now, this bracket was presented online from Naima Cochran. She is an industry insider. She's been an executive. She's done lots of commentary, and she's been a columnist and has written a lot about the music industry. She was actually in the thick of things in the 90s during this era. It's our favorite era of music. So we were so excited when this was posted online. So please check out Naima Cochran. She is on Instagram, and her Instagram is Music Sermon, and she's on Twitter at Naima Cochran. So absolutely, this is so fun. We've been having a great time. We went through the first round, all the acts. So we're going to pull up the bracket to see who advanced. And Lady T, I'm going to ask you to update us on the bracket where we stand. All righty.
All righty. So this is our Sweet 16 for the ladies' side. We have Mary J. Blige, who'll be going against Tamia. Aaliyah, who'll be going against Erykah Badu. Brandy will be heading up against Faith. Toni Braxton will go against Kelly Price. And for the groups, we'll have SWV versus 702. We have Xscape, who'll be going head-to-head with Brownstone. The ladies of En Vogue will be going against Toto. And lastly, we'll have TLC against Destiny's Child.
All right. And this is not, we're not at Sweet 16 yet. but Sweet 16 will be the next round. Okay. So we're going to update you guys on the men's side of the bracket. For our solo men, we have Usher advancing against Luther Vandross, D'Angelo against Joe Levert, Babyface versus Bobby Brown, Maxwell and Johnny Gill will be facing off. And for the male groups, we'll have Boyz II Men versus Belle Biv DeVoe, New Edition versus Tony, Jodeci versus Guy, and lastly, 112 versus Mint Condition. We had some major upsets in round 1. Like, it's no way.
Heartbreakers, man.
Yeah, in any other situation, Monica would be, advancing. In any situation, Brian McKnight would be advancing. But because of how the bracket fell, we had some major upsets in round 1. But now, let's get to the next round. Our very first matchup is Mary J. Blige versus Tamia. Who you got, T?
Yeah, so this one, although the latter is extremely talented and go up for her, tremendously love her much, definitely have to go with Mary J. Blige on this, just for her cultural impact alone, how she had every young girl out here rocking big jerseys with boots and just her catalog of everything that she's come out with. Definitely going with Mary J on this one. What about you, Nick?
I agree, 100%, no brainer. Mary J is advancing. Tamia is phenomenal, beautiful voice. You put a move on my heart, just absolutely amazing. But it's all about Mary J. Blige and the iconic tennis skirts. So
right.
You were rocking a tennis skirt with
we
boots
were matching.
Yes, and a baseball jersey. Absolutely. Yep. So we're going to advance to the next matchup. Erykah Badu versus Aaliyah.
Ooh, so this was kind of tough. I'm kind of going back and forth in my head. But whoa. I might have to edge. Oh man, you know what? I was gonna say that I was gonna put one above the other one just because they created something new and unique, but actually they both really did something new and unique in the whole R&B world. But oh man, ugh. You know what? I think I'm going to advance Erykah Badu, only because not only did she kind of help create a new sound, but she actually fostered in like a subgenre of R&B with neo soul. And
Mhm.
for that, I think I'm gonna go ahead and give it to Miss Badu. What you got, Nick?
This is actually really tough for me, because when you talk about fostering a new sound, I think that what Aaliyah did with Missy and Timberland was absolutely new and fresh and never had been done before.
Facts.
Um,
Facts.
I, this is supposed to be really light and fun, but I just realized in the first two videos, we never mentioned the person, from Chicago that was influential at the beginning of her career. We're
Yeah.
not we're not going to talk about, but yeah, I don't know. And we'll talk about, should this person's name be on the list? It's really interesting. I think that's a whole other conversation about
Yeah.
separating the art from the artist and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. Very, very interesting. Uh yeah, very interesting conversation. Um this is tough, I think they're both were phenomenal artists, both had a huge impact on the culture, but I am going to agree with you and go with Erica Badu. Yeah, we're gonna have Erica move on against Mary. That's gonna be epic. So we'll say that for the next round. Okay, so Erica's advancing. So let's go to the next matchup. Oh my goodness, this is a heartbreaker. We have Faith Evans versus Brandy.
Yeah, that's not right, man. Oh, oh, darn it. Geez. I mean, they are like when you look at like the categories that we've been kind of using to base these decisions on, they're both phenomenal vocalists. They both have an amazing catalog. I guess you would maybe say or consider that maybe culturally, Brandy's done a little bit more, and that's because she's actually, gone out into
Come on, come on, Cinderella.
yeah, I know, definitely. And oh man, but Faith, she got that soprano that's oh, this is tough.
Mm-hmm.
Um, based on the business that she became, the branding, um, like I said, the marketing, she had a Barbie doll after her. For
Mm-hmm.
all of those other things, again, she was the first young girl who had a Isha in her name was actually represented, by her. So for those reasons, outside of just the vocal talents, I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
advance Brandy.
Yeah, I think they match up really, really well. Faith is just an incredible lyricist. She wrote all those songs,
Oh
epic
yeah.
songs, the melodies and stuff. In our first video that we did, we talked about how Brandy stacks her vocals and layers and harmonizes with herself and stuff like that. Faith does that too, and she does
Oh
it
yeah.
beautifully. Yeah,
Oh
and
yeah.
just
Amazing background vocals.
some of those arrangements are sick. And she's epic, she's phenomenal. These are going to be some tough choices along the way, but I am going to agree with you and advance Brandy.
All righty. Well, I mean, you feel like it's the right answer, but then you don't feel good about it.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. So let's go to our next matchup. And this is the final one for our solo women's. This one is Toni Braxton versus Kelly Price.
All right. So, I mean, obviously, both of these ladies are hella talented. Vocally, they're both like at the top of the game. Um, I just think for again the cultural aspect, the fact that they just kind of nurtured in. Well, actually, see, it's interesting because they both did. They both nurtured in as far as the looks and appearances and the fashions, just something that was different. That was really unique. We had never seen. We really didn't see like the short-haired, brown-skinned girl as far as Toni Braxton, but we also didn't see the plus-size diva as far as Kelly Price either. And let's not sleep on it, even when she first came out at her heaviest, they styled her to the T. She was looking good. They didn't play her with no Lane Bryant fashions.
Oh no, not the Lane Bryant fashion.
Right. No shade to Lane Bryant. But I'm just saying, like, they didn't play her. They invested in and gave her everything that she needed to, be as fashionable and look as good as everybody else out here. And so, kudos for them, the stylist and the record label and everything for supporting her in that area as well as all of the other areas that they have to support you. But I think that see, it's so hard to just leave this in the 90s, right? Leave this just as far as the work of the 90s, because other things that they've done has poured and inputted into it. The fact that Tony still has a really huge relevance, not that Kelly doesn't, but it's a higher relevance because of the recent years that they did the reality show and all those other things. She's just, I guess, been exposed a little bit more. Oh, this is so tough. So for that, I have to go ahead and advance Miss Braxton. What do you think,
Okay.
Mike?
What I think is another sad love song. Breathe again. Unbreak my heart. 7 whole days. You know, talking in his sleep.
Mm,
Why, oh, why? You know,
yes.
you know, it is what it is. Okay. Hits after hits after hits after hits. How many ways I love you? It's Tony all the way.
Hmm.
Let's keep it real, really, really real. Kelly was missing a couple of months ago. They didn't even know where she was.
Oh no, Kelly.
Love her music. Her voice is amazing.
Yeah, you can't
But
take that away.
yeah, it is what it is. Tony Braxton hit after hit after hit after hit. Uh, this is an easy one for me. Much love to Kelly Price, but Tony is advancing
All right.
against Brandy. Man, these matchups in the next round are gonna be sick. Oh my gosh. So this is the women's,
Soloist. Now we're
yep,
going
the
into the
women's
women
soloist.
groups.
Absolutely. So we're going into the women's group, and our first matchup is
We have.
SWV and 702.
All right. Well, this one is not as hard. Always been a big fan of 702, especially their early work. Again, we had mentioned that Mila's voice is just insane, and they had some really epic girl group singles or like girl anthem singles, and they did their thing, absolutely taking nothing away from them. But we got to go with SWV again, one of the greatest R&B girl groups of all time. Just hit after hit after hit, have remained relevant and consistent. I definitely go with the ladies of SWV on this. What you thinking?
702 had hits. They had really good songs, just really fun songs, great hits, but none of their hits was weak. Okay. Weak was just the ultimate. Okay. We're going by, well, I'm going by just hits. We're at this the next stage, the next
Hmm.
rounds. We just gotta put the hits up against each other. So SWV to me clearly moves on. They're super awesome, pretty amazing. I love that they're out and about and they're still touring and doing their thing and stuff like that. Just hits after hits after hits. I thought they killed it on that verses
Oh
when they
yeah.
did. You know, shout out to Escape, but when they sang anything, I was like, it's over, it's done. They killed it. We've seen them a couple of times live.
Hmm.
I think maybe it was right before COVID hit when we went to that concert.
Hmm.
And yeah, they're amazing. They still sound good. They look amazing. And so
Yes.
yeah, big ups to them. I think they need to leave a reality TV alone. You know, they're all super gorgeous. Like I said, they look amazing. Get into some of the fashion stuff and the hair and the makeup, and that would be really great. Get a bag that way.
Hmm.
People have the clothing line and jewelry, accessories, and they all, they look great. Everybody's in shape. Do some what do you call it? The bodycon stuff, and the shapewear or whatever.
Right, right.
It's a million things that they could do. Leave that reality TV stuff alone, ladies. Okay, I love you guys. Let's move on to the next matchup.
All right, so next it looks like we have the ladies of Escape going against Brownstone. What are you thinking on this one, Nick?
Okay. Brownstone, awesome. We talked about it in that video when we did the round one for the ladies. Uh, uh, amazing voices. The harmonies are ridiculous. Um, I think that Escape they released some more memorable music.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they've been out a little. They were out a little longer. I think they had 3 albums. I think Brownstone only had 2. I might be wrong. I have to maybe do some research. Guys, let me know in the chat. If that's not right. But I am going to have to edge out Escape. They had hits. They had some really good songs. So Escape is moving on for me. What about you?
I would actually have to agree. We're gonna move them along. Escape just their catalog is a little deeper, a little bigger. They worked with some amazing producers and production teams and all that other good stuff. So, yeah, those ladies just have some really memorable hits. That kind of music that is like the soundtrack to your life. There are songs that you can specifically remember certain events that happened. And for that, I do have to go ahead and give this round to them as well.
Okay, that sounds good. And again, ladies, my advice to you is to stay off of reality TV.
Please.
Pretty please. Life has its hills and valleys, its ups and downs. Things happen, but let's not make it public. Handle that stuff within. Best of luck to all the ladies. I want to go on record as saying that the Scott sisters absolutely killed that Who Can I Run To? That's my favorite song by them. They absolutely killed it. So,
Yeah.
ladies, please, please, please get
Yeah,
off
super
of social
talented.
media, get off of TV, and just work it out, please, please, professionally
Definitely.
and personally.
Definitely.
All right, see, I'm gonna put up the next one. Our next matchup is this is a tough one.
Not really. All right. So again, I said it before, I'm a huge fan of Total. I love them. I think that what they did was different. It was original, it was unique, it was timely. However, against the vocal force of In Vogue, I definitely have to go with In Vogue over Total. Just just vocally, there's no comparison. And also like the hits when they were in their prime, when In Vogue was really doing their thing, it was back to back to back to back, and you just can't take that away from them. So for me, this, as much as I am a big fan of Total, this round is not very difficult at all for me. I'm definitely advancing In Vogue. The
Okay,
Funky Divas.
absolutely. Big fan of Total as well. They had hits too, and they were back to back to back to back to back. I think we talked about in a previous video about how when you do like the Bad Boy Collective as a whole and the impact of how it hit and hit hard and like every act and
Hmm.
they were collaborating, they were switching and working with each other and stuff like that. So yeah, hit after hit after hit for Total. Super dope ladies, but obviously for me, I agree. In Vogue is going to advance. They actually the original 4 only did the 2 albums together.
Oh
And,
wow.
yeah, and
Jeez. I mean, this is a good
right, and they
discussion.
left such an impact with just those 2. So yeah, amazing ladies, epic music, classic. So In Vogue is going to move on. Congratulations to those ladies. And I think this is the final female group matchup.
Yep.
All right, T.
All right. We have the ladies of TLC versus the ladies of Destiny's Child. Now, this, I mean, if you really compare them as far as album sales and just popularity and just their impact, this is maybe one of the more similar or comparable brackets that we've done so far today. Um, wow, this is because they're so similar as groups, and we're not looking at obviously as like the solo acts or the solo act that Beyonce eventually became. But as groups, they really are pretty similar. Um, man, you know what? I think I'm going. Whoa, I think I'm gonna have to get an edge to TLC only because they were unique and they did it in their own way, and they did it in a way that wasn't traditional as far as their styling and how they came out. Destiny's Child were poised and they were prepared and they were prepped in a very traditional manner, right?
Mhm.
Whereas TLC said, no, we're going to do us. This is how we do, this is what we do, and we're not going to follow along or go behind the system of what a girl group is supposed to be. And so for that, for them just standing out and being original and being so fearless, I think I'm going to give the edge to TLC.
Okay. I would agree with you. TLC should advance. My reasoning is time. This is a 90s, we're in the 90s. Um, Destiny's Child came out at the very end. I think it was 98, 99.
Hmm.
They did not become the iconic group until after, in the
Hmm.
2000s.
Okay.
So, yeah, to me, they were a cute girl group, but they didn't become who they are until after the 90s. So, the Ladies of TLC came out a lot earlier in the decade. I think it was like 91, 92, something like that, really early, a lot earlier in the decade. And yeah, they put a stamp on it. Um, Hit after hit after hit, so fun. I said that in the video part one.
Yeah.
And yeah, they absolutely made a huge mark. Great. The songs were great. So I am going to agree with you and advance TLC. Right?
All
So
right.
congrats. So I'm gonna pull up our bracket. It's updated. And so we are going to have Mary J. Blige advancing against Erica Badu. We are going to have Brandy versus Tony Braxton. That's going to be epic. SWV versus Escape, which is timely. And
Right. That's
In
something.
Vogue versus TLC. And they are moving on to the Sweet 16.
All
Super
right.
excited about that. Our bracket is forming and taking shape. So now we are going to move on to the men's solo region. All right, see, let me pull up the first matchup.
All right. So for the fellas, we have Luther versus Usher. What are you thinking on this one, Nick?
Yeah, it's a question of do you go with the OG versus the youngin? I think I'm just going to go with my heart and where I am. As far as what moved me the most, maybe because of the age that I was in the 90s, I was a little closer to Usher and I could relate to more to what he was singing about as opposed to Luther.
Hmm.
So, Luther, icon, a legend, a king, a brilliant lyricist. And he also wrote those songs and produced too.
Yeah,
So,
amazing.
yeah, absolutely incredible. But I would like to advance Usher.
Well, I agree for the same reasons that you mentioned. Absolutely, absolutely taking nothing away from the amazing contributions that Luther Vandross had to the industry, but it's just kind of closer to the age group and who I kind of resonated with more at that time, and that would have been Usher as well. So for that reason, looks like Usher will be advancing.
All right, congrats to Usher. So our next matchup in the solo men's category, D'Angelo versus Gerald Levert. Who you got, T?
Mm, man. This is tough. I'm a fan of both of them and have thoroughly enjoyed both of their music. However, we talked about it before, kind of ushering in this entire new subdivision of R&B through neo soul. For that reason, for that ingenuity, I would have to advance D'Angelo. What are your thoughts on this one?
I am gonna have to agree again for like
kind of the same reasons that we chose Usher. I think that it's a little I can relate a little bit more to what D'Angelo was saying. You
Mhm.
know, Joe was talking about getting a divorce. And I wasn't even thinking about getting married. So much respect to the late great Jill Levert, but D'Angelo is going to move on. All righty.
It's interesting because when we did the males bracket, I just started to pull up some of his music and listen to this. I've been listening to his music for like the last couple of days. Gerald Levert,
Mm-hmm.
boy, was he amazing.
Oh
He
yeah,
is
super
truly,
talented.
truly missed. His voice was crazy. And even though he was talking about maybe more mature type of things back then, those lyrics now are hella relevant at our age group.
All right. Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. Oh, rest in peace. He is truly missed.
Absolutely. So let's move on to the next matchup. All righty. We got Babyface versus Back to the Brown.
Now we talked before. I love Bobby. I love Bobby. I advocate for him. He is. I root for him so hard. However, just based on the fact that Babyface wrote for Bobby and
Mm-hmm.
Babyface was instrumental in Bobby skyrocketing, I just have to give it to, in this case, the teacher, where Bobby was more like the student in this particular scenario. So I would have to advance Babyface for obvious reasons. One of the best to ever do it. Completely ruled the 90s, not only as an artist, but as a songwriter and producer as well. So big ups to Babyface on this one. What you thinking?
All I have to say is that I agree 100%. Everything that you said, I agree with. To me, it's clear, much love to Bobby, but I want to see Babyface advance on this one. So this has been pretty, we've been agreeing on everything so far.
Yeah,
So
everything. We haven't
let's
bumped heads
go
yet.
to the final matchup for the men solo category.
All right. Well, this one we're looking at Maxwell versus JG, Johnny Gill. What are you thinking about this one?
This is interesting. It's difficult because to me, I think like Johnny Gill had like the first half of the 90's, and then Maxwell would have the later half of the
Mm-hmm.
90's. This is tough. It's a tough one. I don't yeah, 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 yeah. I think I think as far as like just icon and just the career as a whole, Johnny Gill's been doing it. It's been long and strong. I
Yeah.
want to give a shout out to Maxwell. He went viral not too long ago for busting some moves. He had those Megan Thee Stallion knees going on. That was hilarious. So, he's touring, he's doing his thing, he's rocking the stage. So I want to give him props for that. This is tough, man. This is really tough. But just as far as talk about like the soundtrack to your life, we brought it up before. I'm gonna go with Johnny Gill. I don't know.
Yeah, actually, I would agree with you for basically the same reasons. You are correct in that one of them definitely was all over the radio in the early half of that decade, whereas the other one was all over the radio in the later half of that decade. But still, this is a consistency of Johnny Gill's career across all of this time, not just prior to the 90's, but through the 90's and on beyond. I would have to advance him as well on this. So
Okay.
look at us just agreeing on everything.
I know that's
Yeah.
amazing. All
Eventually,
right.
we're going to come to blows.
All right. So that will concludes the solo men's category. And we have Usher advancing against D'Angelo, and we have Babyface advancing against Johnny Gill. So let's head to the male groups.
All right. We have, oh, oh, my stomach hurt.
This is
Okay.
tough. This
We
is tough.
have Boys to Men versus BBD. Ooh, and this is funny because a member of Boys to Men, Michael Bivins, actually discovered and signed Boys to Men. So again, this is kind of
Hmm.
another teacher versus the student kind of scenario.
Yes, it is indeed. This is going to be a situation where the student surpasses the teacher. I just like Boyz II Men was just so epic, so iconic. The song, it was that period of time where it was like hit after hit after hit, just big, huge hits. And so I am going to have to give it to Boyz II Men, you know. I know I had to override you in the first round.
Yeah,
So
like I
what are
might
your
turn my camera
thoughts?
on so you can see this facial expression I'm making.
Ah!
Okay,
It's
so
tough. It's tough, but
in the last video, taking nothing away from their accolades. Obviously, Boyz II Men went on to have like the longest selling or the longest charting single. They beat like Elvis Presley um, for a record. Um, Obviously, hit after hit after hit. Obviously, they are phenomenal vocalists. I did throw them a little shade because it's been recently um, expressed by a couple of people in the industry that they were jackholes, and I believe it. I don't know why, but I do. But for me, this one is really tough because um, BBD to me just fostered in like a whole new sound as far as hip hop and R&B merged and combined. So this is tough. Oh, uh, well, I don't want to get overwritten, so I'll just say Boys to Me.
Boyz II Men. Okay, absolutely. So Boyz II Men is moving on. We're gonna go to our next matchup,
All right.
which
Oh, this is a
is
tough one too. New
yeah, Tony
Edition
Tony
versus
Tony or
Tony
New
Tony
Edition.
Tony.
Yeah.
What are you thinking, Nick?
Um, we talked about the Home Again album, how it was epic, and it was a really, really great album. Um, Tony, like I said in a previous video, Sons of Soul is one of my favorite albums of all time. They released House of Music a few years later. That was a really good album too. And then they like broke up and stopped speaking to each other. So, but I guess you can say the same thing about New Edition too. So I don't know. That's odd. But oh man, this is really tough. Um,
These brackets suck. The
yeah, I'm a,
seating
I'm
is
a, I'm gonna give it
rough.
to I'm gonna give it to Tony.
Oh, I
I
can't do
know.
that for you, baby. We're gonna have to fight on this one.
Okay.
Just New Edition for the iconic people that they are, performers that they are. No shade taken away from Tony, and it's a difficult. I definitely understand why the balance is there, or the going back and forth because I've been going back and forth too. However, I have to give that edge to any. They are the quintessential boy band of our generation. I I have to go any on this one, so we had a fisticuffs.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so how do we proceed?
All right, so it looks like we are at a showdown for 2020 versus New Edition.
Hmm.
Now, just to throw out a few little stats, it looks like they're pretty even as far as their sales. It's like any has sold a total of 7.5 million records, whereas 2020 has sold a total of 6 million.
Not receipts. You pulled up receipts,
Yes, receipts, boo.
girl.
Okay. And then what's really interesting is that we have both talked about Indy's Home Again as like one of our all-time favorite albums ever, as well as
Absolutely.
2020's Sons of Soul, which is one of our all-time favorites ever.
Yours
They,
too?
yeah, oh God, yes.
Okay.
They sold about the same. Home Again sold 2.1 mil, where Sons of Soul sold like 2 million. So they're pretty even. New Edition has the edge by a little bit as far as their record sales,
Mm-hmm.
which is the reason why we should just go ahead and advance them.
I, but wait a minute, what happened to all of those X factors and how their voice made you feel and all of this and all of that and all of this?
They're
Yeah.
equal for me. They're
Tony,
like
they were a band. They played musicians and they had choreographies. They did side cartwheels in the "It Feels Good" video.
the side cartwheels is the
Yes,
winning point.
with a guitar, a strap across. Girl, please. no, for real, for real, for real, for real. I just Sons of Soul was just so.
Okay,
I
listen.
if you the two albums we both love these albums. I would give I like Sons of Soul better than Home Again, and I love Home Again.
Listen, okay? How I felt when I had to give up John B and Donnell Jones, you have to give me New Edition.
I just, but like New Edition, like if this was 80's, this would be a no-brainer. Like this would be so done.
Their
But
body of work in the
they had
90's,
one
their
album in the
sole
night.
body of work in the 90's.
They had one album in 10 years.
Well, you
I,
know they special, but that is one of the reasons why they are so iconic.
but did they those I love the album, but did they have an anniversary on their album?
Well, listen, the record company played them because we know, because we listened to the album, that there were tons of other singles that could have
I
been released
love
that year.
the album, but did Home Again have an anniversary?
Home Again had Home Again.
Home Again is amazing, but is Home Again anniversary to
For
you?
those who have not heard the album, there is a single on the Home Again album called Home Again, and it is epic and it is timely and it is their love story to each other.
It's
And
beautiful,
yes,
but
you,
is it
Nick, you
anniversary?
are a bully. You gonna make me give up New Edition after I gave up John B. and Donnell Jones.
Donnell Jones is not Raphael Sadiq.
Oh, you shady on top of it. You are a shady bully.
Let's be honest. Let's be please. I gotta know that I'm not the only person here.
Please.
No, not you. I'm talking to like in the comment section. Please tell me like anniversary is like an iconic song. It's like one of those songs. I loved Home Again. I love the album, but did it have one of those songs? We gotta pick something now. We gotta
No, we
listen. You
have
gotta
picked something. You just want me to pick what you picked.
no. we have to we have to come up. Somebody gotta have that.
Somebody do.
You really think that I'm being honest? You really think that one of those a song from the Home Again album compares to Anniversary?
I don't. Well, again, we're looking at, there are different things that we can look at to come across our choices. So we not taking these two albums and going single for single about which one compares to what. I think that for everything that New Edition is, they would be over Tony, Tony, Tony. Again, no shade to Tony, Tony, Tony. I love Tony, Tony, Tony for the same reasons that you love them. But as a collective, they don't match up to the icons that are New Edition.
But if we're not, if we knocked out Luther Vandross because of the timeline, if we're sticking to that timeline and what was done
Well,
in that the specific decade.
I don't think that we looked at it solely on the timeline as far as a specific decade. I think that because we mentioned who just we personally resonated with more because of like more of a generational reason we lean toward Usher, not necessarily because we looked at their both of their bodies of work in that specific decade. Now, obviously, we didn't solely look at that, but if that gives you the edge over somebody else, then I don't see why me just saying that this group right here, I'm just personally connected with more than the other group is not still a valid reason.
So that's it. That's the only defense that you got. You just personally connected to it
I
more.
think collectively, one group is just way more iconic than the other.
Outside of the decade or no?
Well, well, and within and outside the decade.
But is that fair?
It's not fair to make that the sole primary judge now when we have been
No,
doing
but
that the whole
when you
thing.
have like a tie situation, then something's got to be the tiebreaker. We love them both. This is getting serious. Like
Yeah,
I'm like, come on, girl.
and I'm like, why are you playing?
Like if it's a tiebreaker situation, something's got to tilt it in one way. So if it's something that we both love, the tiebreaker has to be the 90s
Why? Why does that have to be the tiebreaker?
because it's a 90s bracket.
But that hasn't been the sole stipulation on anything else.
But we've
So
said it a
so
couple of,
so is it the sole stipulation only in the event that
but
it's a
okay.
tie?
Well, maybe we didn't agree to that, but that would, to me, that when we were talking about the Destiny's Child versus 702,
So you can't hold me to something that we didn't agree to.
that's true. I agree. That's true. But I'm saying that I'm not just pulling this out of, the sky. This was something that I personally used
And then
when
still
it was.
it's based on opinion. It's not based on facts. Now, me pulling out receipts about they sale, those are facts. You know what I'm saying? I
But the
think that
numbers were
in the
so close that we need what's gonna tilt this? What's
okay, so this is I think that in the span of a tie, it has to be something that's based on fact. It can't be because obviously our opinions are different now. It can't be based on opinion. It was just coincidentally that in the majority of all these other factors, we shared the same opinion.
so how do we reach
But if you're saying that it's based on these two albums that came out generally around the same time frame, that one has an iconic single and the other one doesn't have that same caliber of single, is an opinion. An opinion I necessarily do not disagree with, but I
wait
still
a minute,
don't
what are
think
you
that.
saying? Are you saying that Anniversary wasn't the biggest hit on both of those albums?
No,
What
listen
are you
to
saying
me.
is an opinion?
Listen to me. I am saying that it is an opinion. I say that in the event of a tie, the tiebreaker should not be based on an opinion. It is your personal opinion that that single was the best single on not only 2020's album, but would have also been on New Edition's album. That is an opinion that I do not necessarily not disagree with. However, as far as advancing into the next round, my opinion is that one group just in totality is more iconic than the other one. So you can't base the tiebreaker on opinion. The tiebreaker has to be based on something that's factual.
Okay.
Because we can
I
both continue to throw out opinions until we decide on whichever one want to fold.
Yeah, I don't think that Anniversary being the biggest hit off of Sons of Soul and um Home Again, I don't think that's an opinion at all. I don't, please in the comments, please let me know if I'm bugging or not. I don't think that that's an opinion at all. Um you and I
How you
loved
like a song is your opinion.
You and I loved the album. We loved Home Again. But I commercially it wasn't that big. And
Okay, so why would you make the tiebreaker on one single song as opposed to the whole collective of the album?
because if one song has a huge hit that was culturally significant, if one album has that and the other album doesn't, to me that's a tiebreaker. It's not an opinion. I guess we stuck on that.
It is an
What you think
opinion
is,
that you like one song out of
I
both
did not
albums more
say
than the
that.
rest.
I'm getting hot. Okay, I'm getting hot. I did not say that I
Me
like it.
too.
I didn't say that I like it and that's why it should win. As a matter of fact, if you list all of the favorite songs, you know my favorite song of Soul to Soul is not Anniversary. You know what my favorite song of Soul to Soul is.
Yes.
So I'm not saying I like Anniversary the best, and that's why it should win. It was a bigger hit. This was a song that everybody was singing with their eyes closed, and it's that they play at the family reunions, and that they do like I don't even Anniversary again. It's not my favorite song of Sons of Soul. Um, so I don't, the fact that you're saying it's an opinion is just really odd to me, and it's hard for me to for us to have this conversation when you, to me this is like an obvious, like that was the bigger song. So what,
That is your
how do we
opinion.
fix it? I don't, I think that's so bizarre to say. Like I'm getting frustrated right now. Okay, so how do we resolve it?
I don't know. I mean, I told you what my suggestion is. It has to be based on something factual. Now,
Well, give me a fact. Convince
show
me.
okay.
Convince me with a fact. Give me a fact.
So if okay, I mean, I think this is whack, but let's pull up the highest charting single on both of those albums.
Okay.
You pull up Tony Tony Tony, I'll pull up New Edition.
You making me work too?
Well,
Okay. Does it have the years on here?
okay, so the
I don't
highest
know how to
charting
read
single
this.
on Home Again was Hit Me Off, and the highest chart was number 3 on the Hot R&B singles.
Okay, so the list right here, it says Anniversary by 2020 Tony. Um, it was number 2 on the R&B chart and number 3 on the Hot 100. So
It's the same damn
did they rank
thing.
the same?
Yeah, basically. So Hit Me Off hit number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 3 on the Hot R&B singles. So if Anniversary hit number 2, technically they're the freaking winners. They both hit number 3 on the Billboard Hot
Hot
100,
100, yeah.
but Anniversary hit number 2 and Hit Me Off hit number 3 on the Hot R&B singles. So Anniversary would have outcharted it by 1.
Wow. I thought it would have been more than that.
Look here, you got the win. Just
Today is a special day. Not just any day. Hey!
bully.
Okay, yay. We're moving on to the next matchup.
Boo.
Girl, I am wrecked. That
No,
was
seriously.
emotional.
Seriously, I love Tony Tony Tony. I'm not mad about this. I love Tony Tony Tony. I just think that, New Edition is the quintessential black boy band. And for that, they deserve all respect and props.
They get all respect and props. Absolutely.
Anyway, let's proceed. I gotta get
Yeah,
my
please,
attitude
because I
together.
am shooketh. All right, next matchup. Oh, Lord Jesus, this is another tough one. Jodeci versus God. Oh,
Damn.
I ain't recovered.
I know, right? We need a break after that last one. Oh, we. Oh
This is
my
brutal.
God. Yeah, this is not fair. This is oh Jesus.
Okay. I'll go first.
Yeah,
Um,
please do.
both epic, both made a tremendous impact on the culture, both hits, tons of hits. I think Guy only released the 2 albums in the 90s, and then like years later, they came out with that third album.
Mm-hmm.
But, I like to think that and
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think it really moved anything. Like I can't name anything else that was on that album.
Yeah.
Um, Jodeci, just iconic. I remember just like the the anticipation, when their albums dropped.
Mm-hmm.
This is tough. This is really, really tough. Um, Guy came out a few years before
Mm-hmm.
Jodeci did. Uh, just the whole New Jack Swing was just so unique, and it just changed music forever. Um, Aaron Hall's voice is amazing. Um, I am I'm gonna go with Jodeci for like what he said before, just as far as personal reasons, you know, the songs that were actually on the soundtrack to your life, moments and events that I could tie personally to different Jodeci songs. This is tough. Much respect to Guy, but I think that Jodeci should advance.
Yeah, I agree. Um, for the same reasons, they are both really just in as far as kind of like the new vibe that they introduced into R&B culture. They both definitely deserve all props and honors for what they kind of created and implemented into our music. However, simply for just a bit of more of a connection, probably generational. Not that Guy was like super ancient older than
No,
us, but
honestly, yes, not that much.
Jodeci was a little bit more, I guess, hipper. And so for that reason, I have to go ahead and advance them too.
Oh, wow. So that wasn't as brutal as I thought.
I'm still
So
mad.
here we are. We got to recover from that. Okay, now this might be another one. All right, here we go. Final matchup in the men's group is Mint Condition against 112. Who you got?
Oh well, it sucks, but the decision making is a little easier for me on this one. Love Mint Condition. I have a lot of respect for like real traditional old school bands, real musicians.
Absolutely.
People who actually get in there and write their own thing. But there are some musicians in 112 too. Um, but just for kind of like more aligned with the soundtrack of my life, I would have to get that to 112.
Yeah, this is tough as well. Just amazing songs by Mint Condition, but
Hmm.
I am going to agree. We are both choosing to have 112 advance. Shout out to Bad Boy Record. Do you think that Diddy actually cheated his artist?
Oh, that's another conversation for another pod.
Okay, yes, absolutely. Let's move on. I'm emotionally wrecked. So we are done with round two, y'all. Finally. So we are going to recap and see who is moving on in the men's category. Wait, the solo men and
We did
the
the solo
male.
man. We just got to recap the male group.
Okay, awesome. So we have moving on. We have Boys to Men versus Tony, and we have Jodeci advancing against 112. So here's our bracket. We're gonna update it and take a beat, and we'll move on to the Sweet 16. It's going down, y'all. We will have a winner coming right up.
All right, welcome back, guys. We are going to continue on with our Sweet 16 bracket. Let's start off with the ladies. So in our first round, we have Mary J. Blige versus Erica Badu.
Okay, Mary J. Blige versus Erica Badu. T, this is it's tough. We've talked about both of these incredible artists in the previous rounds, but I'm just going to go ahead, make this short and sweet, and advance Mary. Mary's the queen. I'm going to advance Mary. What do
Yeah,
you think?
facts. I agree. Obviously Erica Badu is the icon in her own right. However, just for all the things that she's contributed to the culture, I gotta give it to Mary J.
Absolutely. So that was quick and easy. Looks like we're picking up the pace. Let's go to the next matchup with the ladies. We have Brandy versus Tony Braxton.
Man, okay. This we've been back to a tight one right here. I mean, we've already went over and discussed all the accolades for Brandy and all the accolades for Tony Braxton. I'm leaning more toward Tony on this. Only because you just got to give her props for her rich tone and her voice because her voice is so different and unique.
I would say that Brandy's voice is different and unique as well. And as far we've referenced it a bunch of times, the cultural significance. She's been in movies, she's done TV. Tony Braxton, she's done a couple of Lifetime movies. I'm not hating on that,
Oh,
but that was not a diss. It was not a diss. Uh, Tony's a goddess. She's a queen. Um, oh, I mean, both amazing. And when we were talking about like the kind of intangible category about songs on the soundtrack of your life and
Mm-hmm.
things that you really connect to, geez, I mean, both of them are
Yeah,
phenomenal.
yeah.
Um, I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little wore out from the last round where we're going back and forth about New Edition versus Tony. So to keep the peace, I'm gonna advance Tony Braxton as well.
What? All right. I feel like I finally won something.
Because your girl is wore out, okay? Okay.
Really
I
though.
mean, they're both super amazing, super
Yeah,
incredible.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. So wow. So the next round, we got Tony Braxton versus Mary J. Ooh, that's gonna be interesting. So kudos to Mary and Tony for advancing. Take a quick look at the bracket, and then we're moving over to the next region, which is the female groups. We got a good matchup coming up right here. We have Escape versus SWV. Who you got, T?
All right. So this is so timely, right? With everything that's going on right now in the
It
reality
will
show and
come
social
down. Yeah, it
media.
will come down to that.
Right. All right. So this one is not as tough for me. I absolutely give the edge to SWV. I think that their music is a combination of a bunch of things. When I think about Escape, other than like just kick it and feel so good, they're mostly like super ballads. Whereas SWV has an equal amount of up tempo, just fun, feel good songs. Plus they super hella dope. I gotta give it to SWV.
Yeah, this was not that much of a like a brutal kind of thing for me. I'll go with SWV. I I just it's so funny and so timely and like oh geez, and the internet's been blowing up,
Mm-hmm.
about these two groups, but to me, it's no comparison, honestly. Like we said before, Escape, very talented vocalist, but to me, SWV just they advance. So congrats to all, and we're going to move on to the next matchup. Okay, now this one is a lot tougher for me personally. Uh, who you got, T? In Vogue versus
Yeah,
TLC.
so it's not as tough for me personally. I definitely give it to En Vogue for the fact
Hmm.
that you have four incredible singers who all could have been lead singers in any other scenario, but chose to pull their talents together and just be the funky divas that they were. I have to give the edge to them. What you thinking?
Oh wow, this is actually very, very tough because um as far as cultural significance, I think that TLC they were so huge. They kind of were outside. They went outside of the R&B genre.
Mm-hmm. Definitely crossed over
Yeah.
in a big
Uh
way.
Geez. I guess we talk about like I said before, talk about like the intangibles and the songs that were the soundtrack to your life.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely both groups had songs that I just personally like have connected memories to and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this is super, 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 super tough. Um, a lot harder than I thought it would be.
Give me
I
something now.
Yeah, I gotta give you something. I gotta give you something. I just think that I'm gonna go with TLC. I want to go with TLC. I really do. I think that they had I don't know. I don't want to like bring up old stuff, but how are we defining hits? Because you saying that hits is an opinion, and I'm like, what? A hit is a hit. Like everybody knows that a hit is a hit. If you personally like it or don't, that is all about what was playing at the time. I think that because
I mean, what constitutes a hit though?
girl, do we have to look it up? But
Well,
that's why I'm
yeah.
so
So,
confused
okay. So listen. So
when I was
backtrack.
saying that's a hit, and you're
I
like,
did
that's an
not want to.
opinion.
I did not want to continue on with that because I just knew that we were going to get stuck in where we were stuck in. My thing is, what constitutes a hit? A hit constitutes where it falls on the charts. So we pulled up the charts, and in that case, we gave it to Tony because they were actually one
They
chart
charted higher.
ahead, right, higher by one, might I add. But that's what constitutes a hit, though.
So
I'm saying,
all things being equal, is this the tiebreaker?
That we base it on hits?
Yeah, we pull up the charts, pull up the Hot 100 or whatever.
I mean, if we in a position where we just both dug in our heels, I'm not that dug in my heels on this. I absolutely have to agree that just culturally, the crossover effect. I always love that we mentioned it before. The TLC was always original. They did their own thing. They didn't follow the Motown Supremes catalog of how a girl group should be. They said, screw it, we're gonna do us. We're young, we are youthful, we are energetic, we're gonna do us. And whereas obviously En Vogue did follow a more traditional pattern, Dr. Motown Supreme kind of
coaching and training.
Right, and there's nothing, and no shade, there's nothing wrong with that. But stepping outside of the box and just being authentically yourself at 1,000% is just something that's special about
and being
that.
received for it.
Yeah. So I just, the reason why I gave the edge to En Vogue is because they all four were equally talented lead singers who combined their talents together and created something very special was created from it. And so because of their singing abilities is the reason why I gave them the edge. But I absolutely concede and understand why somebody would lean toward TLC as well for all the other things that they contributed to the music industry. So I don't have a problem conceding for TLC on that.
Well, to be honest, I like En Vogue better. As far as we talk about the songs and the soundtrack to your life and stuff like that, I liked En Vogue better. But because of the huge impact of Crazy Sexy Cool and the waterfalls, the video and everything like that, I'm trying to be analytical here and not go with who I like better. Even though that's what I was accused of, but but that's the reason why I'm leaning TLC. If it's just who I like better, I would go with En Vogue.
That's the thing. There were really no metrics. It was kind of
that's true
based on what you feel.
Right. It's not against the rules to do it that way, but I'm trying to be analytical.
Okay. So who are we going with?
Well, I wanted to go with TLC. I wanted to advance TLC.
Okay, so I'm not mad at that. Let's do TLC.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
I wasn't dug in my heels about that. I was just,
So cool. So these are the girl groups that advance. Okay, sounds great. So we are moving on to the other side of the bracket into our solo men's division. And we have Usher and D'Angelo. Usher. Who you got? Polly.
Yeah, I mean, this is tough because I enjoy both of their music, but I have to give it to Usher. Just his longevity, his entire catalog, just has more hits to it. He's been more consistent, and I would have to give it to him. This is a really young picture that you got him too.
Yeah, I wanted to choose, to represent the 90s or whatever. I could have found,
more
hot and fresh. Yeah.
Right.
No shirt on, of course.
What about you? What are you thinking in this one?
I am as well going to go with Usher. Same reasons. It's just what I was resonating with the most at that time. We said it before. It's known, it's established. D'Angelo is an incredible talent, a great artist, but I agree that Usher will advance.
All right.
Okay, grade 8. So our next matchup, we got Babyface versus JG. I'll take this one. We kind of said it before. Babyface, and he was matched up with Bobby Brown. It's kind of like, the student versus the teacher. Uh, Johnny Gill, an incredible talent, incredible vocalist. But I think I'm gonna have to go with Babyface. But I could lean either way though. If it depends on your what you gotta say. So let me know what you're thinking.
Yeah, I'm actually agreeing with Babyface. He's like one of the GOATs out here. You just cannot take away from his total contributions, not only as a artist, but as a writer producer. So I'm advancing him as well.
Okay, great. And shout out to Johnny Gill out here looking like a nasty deacon, but he's still doing his thing.
Not a nasty deacon.
Yes, he know he was like.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
All right. So yeah, Babyface. I like when we agree.
I know. Okay, so here's the next one. We are looking at Boys to Men versus Tony. I'm gonna let you go, and I'm just gonna be quiet for a minute.
Okay, again, I want to be analytical about this. I don't want to be
Why?
about
Why do you want to be analytical now?
because it's just my choice. I'm not in my emotions. I'm not, pick up your feelings, T. Pick them up.
Oh no, not pick up my feelings.
Girl, I am trying to be analytical. I'm thinking back to when Boyz II Men, the two album came out, Roman
Mm-hmm.
numeral two.
Yeah.
It was an event.
Mm-hmm. I
It
agree.
it was such an event. Um, just the anticipation, you know, they were huge. I'm sorry, End of the Road was everybody's graduation song for that whole year, and a prom song, and you breaking up your senior year because you don't want to do long distance in college and stuff like that. Like everybody was feeling just that whole era. Um, you know, I'm sorry, cultural significance was huge, and the music was huge. We've already established how much I love Tony, but as far as a leaving a mark, putting a dent into the decade, because this is supposed to be about the 90s, I am going to go with the jackholes that we love to hate, the very talented Boys to Men.
But they jackholes.
This
No,
is
that
not
was
a congeniality contest.
yeah, super petty of me. I, all right, yeah. Okay. It is true, everything that you said in reference to just how big they were in the 90s. And again, we got to give the credit where it's due because receipts are receipts. The numbers that they put up, they broke records, and then it kind of is what it is. But as far as just a bigger connection to the culture, I would definitely get at the 2020 Tony.
Oh,
Like you
wow.
said, 2020 was definitely the music that you played at the cookouts. You weren't playing "I'll Make Love to You" at the cookouts.
No, Motown Philly, maybe.
You
End of the Road, you were playing at the,
weren't playing it at the cookout.
no, at all them graduations they was playing it.
Yeah. Um, we already kind of made clear that the metrics for our choices were going to be different per bracket and that there weren't really an established set of metrics. Again, I am very interested in why and you suddenly today want to be super analytical about everything instead of just doing what you feel, like what feels better to you. Analytically, I absolutely understand why you would go with Boys to Men. 2020 feels better. It feels good. So I will concede um in advance Boys to Men.
That is really, really interesting. That's really, really interesting that you taking this route. That's
Taking
really, really
what
interesting.
route?
To me, this is like a no-brainer. It's obvious. They had the bigger hits.
But like again, the metrics is there's no set metrics. If it I agree. If it's based on who had the bigger hits, that's a no-brainer. But if it's based on who resonated with you more, who made you feel better, then it is what it is. There are several other brackets that we've done, even when we first started, where we just based it on who made us feel better. We just based it on who we personally connected with more. It's no right or wrong way. I'm just interested in why now, after we've been doing this for 3 days, you're solely basing it on the hits.
Well, I'm not solely basing it on the hits, but I just wanted this to be, I want to give people props, even if I don't, if necessarily like the other group better.
It's not right or wrong.
That's true.
It's just different. And my curiosity is why are you switching it now?
I'm not switching it though. I think I've been
I
consistent.
feel like you're switching it. I feel like there have been previous rounds where we just said this feels better, or
No, I think
I just
you
resonate with
did,
this
and
person, or this person connects with me more.
you've definitely done that. You have definitely done that. And I said, sure, because it was a situation where it could go either way. Like, I get it. Like in the first round, Monica versus Kelly Price,
Mm-hmm.
to me, the analytical would be like, Monica is the she had more hit. I know that term is getting weird and stuff now, but she was the bigger act. And you said Kelly just makes you feel a certain way. I'm like, cool. I that's cool. I don't have no problems with that either way. So I don't have any problems with either way. I don't think that it's it's weird that you're thinking that it's something new and different, but I don't think it's been any change.
Okay.
Girl, okay. So who's advancing? You say Tony, Tony, Tony. I say Boys to Me. Who do you think should advance?
No, I conceded.
Okay. And then our next matchup is 112 versus Jodeci. To me, this
Um,
is another no-brainer.
mhm.
What do you think?
Yeah, I have to give it to Jodeci. Again, love 112. Huge fan. But just for the cultural significance, it's how they changed the game. I definitely gotta give it to Casey, JoJo, Devontae, and Dalvin.
I agree. This when they came out, they hit so hard, and um, it was just a really good time for the culture, and just so new and fresh, and just young, energetic, a little bit of bad boy sprinkled in, and just they were super dope. Shout out to 112, but Jodeci is advancing.
All right.
So our Sweet 16 is now a grade 8. I'm gonna pull up our bracket, and here is where our bracket stands. So we are almost at the final four. We got some really, really, really good matchups moving forward. So we're gonna take a pause, update this bracket, and come right back in the next round. So here we go. Who is going to represent the solo female artist in our bracket? We have Tony Braxton versus Mary J. Blige. Who you got, T?
Man, I love these ladies both. I mean, they are so iconic both in their own rights. However, I just gotta go with my gut on this. I gotta go with my heart. I had to advance Miss Mary J. Blige. It's just for the culture, what she did and what she represented to every roundaway young black girl is just can't be unmatched. So, what about you, Nick?
As amazing as Tony Braxton is, I'm going to agree with you. We are going to both advance Mary J. Blige to represent the ladies, the solo of women's act. Both amazing, incredible, just gifted artists, but I'm gonna go with Queen Mary on this one. So congrats, Queen Mary.
We are looking at SWV versus TLC, the battle of the initials.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, this is I mean, it's tough for me. I mean, we in the last round, I TLC had such a huge impact. It was huge Waterfalls was everywhere. It was probably one of the biggest hits of the decade across
Absolutely.
all genres.
Hmm.
You know, SWV is so dope. I think that they were running R&B. Uh, TLC were leaning over a little more into pop, in my opinion.
I
Um,
don't think it was deliberate though. I think
no,
that
they were
that's
there. They were being
yeah,
themselves. It was
right.
authentic. It was, it wasn't like they were like, oh, let's cross
Strategically,
over.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm. Um, uh, this one is hard because it's like heart versus head to me.
Right.
You know, TLC sold more. They charted higher as far as Hot 100. Um, it's tough. I am going to go with TLC because I think that the run was a little longer. Fan was epic, and so they came hard with Crazy Sexy Cool and Creep and Waterfalls and stuff like that. Then they came super hard with Fan Mail and No Scrubs. So because it strung out longer, because by then, SWV was hitting really, really hard in the early 90s, and then it kind of faded out. But because the TLC run, like their super strong run, ran a little longer, I'm gonna advance TLC. Much, much, much love to SWV. What do you think? Just another one that we have to work it out.
So this is what's interesting about the fact that we are sisters, we are identical twins, but you clearly are analytical. You move off of like analysis, and I am emotional. I move off of my heart, what feels better to me. You mentioned this is a head versus a heart situation, and I absolutely understand where the head is leaning toward the data points, the numbers, the figures, the facts, but my heart is with the SSWW to the V. It was just so fun loving and so free, and I think a lot of it may have to do with where I was at personally, in my life, why that music was so fun loving and so free. Because at the time, I didn't have like a lot of worries, a lot of bills, all that kind of stuff. Whereas I feel like going into the later 90's, just personally, it was some more real life stuff going on. And so while TLC definitely had fun, youthful songs, it just doesn't connect the same way as SWB for me. So, you know, what I've kind of discovered throughout this entire process is that, well, I didn't discover it, I already knew as far as you and I and how we personally connect to each other and to other things is that I am emotionally driven and you are way more an analytical thinker. Um, and this is definitely a head versus heart situation. I get
I
why
agree.
Nakia
Yeah,
says
we're on the same
TLC,
page.
but I want to go with my heart, which is SWV. And
Okay.
if we have determined that like a tiebreaker is just the raw numbers, then obviously that would put TLC um in advance. So I'm advancing TLC, but I want to go on the record that my heart is with SWV.
They're dope. They're amazing. Okay. Sounds good. So TLC is representing the girl group region of our bracket. So congrats to both groups. They're both super amazing. But we are going to move on to the men's side. And our men's solo category, we have our finalists, Babyface versus Usher. So I'll take it. Now I've been accused of heart versus head, but I'm going to go with my heart. I am going to go with Usher. Um, I just think that, again, personally, the songs resonated more. Uh, Babyface is a legend for all times. He's still recording, making hit albums, and winning awards and performing at different award shows and stuff
Vegas
like that.
residency.
Yeah, a Babyface has one because I know Usher had a Vegas
Hmm.
residency as well. So I mean, both phenomenal. Uh, they're so different. Babyface is just an artist, musician, creative, in that realm. Um, uh, Usher's entertainer, de jour, just
Yeah, quintessential entertainer.
yeah, just like we said before, triple threat. But I think I'm gonna go with Usher.
Now I feel like you pulling my card, right? Because for me, by you starting off by saying that you've been accused of going with your head, not your heart. Um, because for me, I'm leaning toward Babyface on this.
Wow.
Yeah, only because the just that track record you cannot touch. You can't touch it. I don't
No.
think that Usher can touch it. I think that Usher in his lane is extraordinarily phenomenal. I think
Mm-hmm.
that Babyface has a different lane, and I think that he's the GOAT in the lane that he's in. Because they have different lanes, it's kind of hard to compare them. So you just kind of, I'm just kind of looking at who is the most influential in the lane that they're in, and I would lean toward Babyface. With that being said, I completely understand why anybody would advance Usher. Um,
Mm-hmm.
just if you just the numbers that he has put up, the
Mm-hmm.
hits, the platinum selling albums, just that I absolutely can concede and understand why anybody would advance him over Babyface. I just feel like again there are two different lanes, and
Mm-hmm.
to me, Babyface's lane is just more. He's just got more on the resume.
Mm-hmm. I'm open. I'm open. They both are phenomenal. Let me throw this out here.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when COVID hit and the verses started when it was like
Mm-hmm.
really organic and awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was nobody to go up against Usher because there's nobody to compare him to. He had no
True.
contemporaries. There's nobody like so
True.
he did it and he held that spot for this generation for that long by himself. So that's something to consider.
Yeah, that's a
But
good point. That's a good
I'm
point.
I'm open to either way. They're both phenomenal. And Babyface is a legend. His what he's done for other acts. That supersedes. What he's done as an artist himself. He's phenomenal.
And
I
that's where I kind of want to give him the edge because it's not just
mm,
about what he did for himself, it's about what he did for countless other people as well.
mhm
Um, and that is if you compare if you have to compare them, the only slight deficit that Usher would have in that is that he hasn't been the same level of creator for other artists as Babyface. But
mhm
again, there's the metrics can be completely different. If we completely eliminate that portion of it, the writer producer portion of it, and just
mhm
base it off of
just the
performers,
artist, yeah.
yeah, because honestly, that's where I'm giving Babyface the edge.
About what he does outside of the booth.
The fact that yeah, not
Yeah.
on what he does outside of the booth for other people, including what he does for himself.
Hmm.
Now I will say this: Babyface is hella talented, but vocally, Usher is a better vocalist. Just as far as the raw talent, the instrument, the voice, I would say
Hmm.
that Usher is a better vocalist than Babyface.
Usher can sing. Usher can sing.
Sang.
You forget because sometimes the abs are distracting, but
Yeah, you know what? Upon further conversation, I I'm gonna go on and advance Mr. Raymond.
wow, okay, sounds good. But shout out to Bayface. He's an icon. He's a legend.
Absolutely.
He's awesome. Yes. So yeah, we're gonna congratulate Usher for moving on. He is representing the solo men's in the final four, and now our last matchup to determine who is in the final four. We have Boys to Men versus Jodeci. Who you got? I want to hear you.
Yeah, okay.
Why
So
you laughing?
no, because I've been super petty about Boyz II Men throughout this entire thing, and I've automatically kind of didn't want to advance them, not discredit them because you can't take away from their numbers, right? But
Mm-hmm.
just not advance them because I don't think that their personalities are, because I'll say this, I don't know them people to make a judgment about their
True that.
personalities. But I feel like the things that have been said about them are likely very true. With that being said, in this particular category, um, again, giving them all credit for their numbers, their accolades, the platinum albums, the hits, giving them all credit, and the fact that them all four of them, even though you know they try to play Mike, but all four of them could sing. I'm not taking anything away from their talents or their accolades.
Mm-hmm.
However, for the culture, I have to
Mm-hmm.
go with Jodeci. And this is not me being petty because I've been petty before in previous rounds with them. This is just on some for the culture. I would have to advance Jodeci over Boyz II Men. It's kind of like the if you look at it, it kind of looks like the good guy against the bad boy, but that's really not what it is. I don't think that Jodeci's cultural impact was big because they were quote unquote bad boys. I think that their cultural impact was big because they were the equivalent to the Roundaway Boys. They were the guys you grew up with. They were the guys you hung out with. They were the guys you went to school with. Whereas Boyz II Men went to a different school.
Ooh, they went to the performing
The school
arts school.
they went to the School of Performing Arts. And no
um,
shade to the School of Performing Arts. I mean, I didn't go to a performance arts high school, but I was all on the performance arts side of the building. But but yeah, so just culturally, I think that Jodeci made a bigger hit. And again, to me, it's less about the analytics, the numbers, because I'm not taking anything away from their accolades, their numbers, the goals that they met, the achievements that they made, and the fact that they can sing. I'm giving them all acknowledgement for the fact that they can sing the house down and that they did run the 90s. But culturally, for me, I connect more with Jodeci. So that is who I'm advancing. Please say that you agree with me so that I don't have to get stressed out anymore.
okay, so yes, we have established that you feel a certain way about Boyz II Men. Boyz II Men is just an iconic, phenomenal group. Just hits after hits after hits. And like you said, they could sing. Those voices are amazing. Wanye is the closer. He
A
closes out all the
closer.
songs. Yeah, he closes out all the songs. And just kills it all the time. Yeah, Boyz II Men is phenomenal, super dope. But I am gonna have to agree with you and advance Jodeci. It is it's a
Lord.
vibe. It's a feeling. It's the mark that they left on the culture. Um, no diss to Boyz II Men at all, but I am going with the boys from Uptown. Shout out to Jodeci.
Yay!
So we got our
You
final four,
finally
y'all.
gave me one.
We got our final four, y'all.
Yes,
So
we do.
here is our bracket. It's going down. We have who do we have in the women's side?
On the women's side, representing the solo women, we have Mary J. Blige. And representing the female groups, she will be going head up against TLC.
All righty. And for the fellas on our solo men's, we have Usher representing the solo men and our male groups. He is going to be going up against Jodeci. It is going down. We have our
The
final four.
final
So
four.
now we are going to jump into it, the head to head, to see who is going to the championship round. Okay, so here we go.
All right.
Mary versus TLC.
All right. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. So we talked about accolades. We talked about uh awards. We've talked about record sold. We've talked about charting. Going forward, I'm letting you know now, fair warning to everybody. I'm strictly going with my heart. I'm strictly going with who spoke to me the most. I'm strictly going with who had a bigger impact and whose music had a bigger impact on my life in general, that is hands down Mary J. Blige.
Uh, no argument here. 100%. Mary is the queen. She is representing all of the women in the
Yes.
championship round. I agree with you 100%. Mary's dope. If you look at my life, you see what I see.
Hey, there you go.
All
Come on
right.
now. Like all of the nights that we played My Life over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Like that album alone, and then on to Share My World, and then on to the Mary album, and even come on now, is
Mm-hmm.
literally the soundtrack. Mary sang for us.
Yeah,
She sang for the everyday, round the way. She sang for us.
she
Still
did.
does.
100%. Just so authentic, so uniquely her. Just such a great representative. And just, yeah, to this day, the music is still hot. She is
Hmm.
still connects, and she's everything. So absolutely, congratulations. Mary is going to the finals. Now, what about these
Yes.
fellas? What about Usher versus Jodeci? Who you got?
Okay. Yeah, so this is interesting. Again, I'm going from my heart. So we can look at a lot of things. I think that the numbers, and obviously because of just the like the operation, how long they were operating. Obviously, Jodeci had what, about two albums before
I think three.
three,
I might
okay,
be
before
wrong.
they split and started to do their own thing. Obviously, what Casey and JoJo did together was iconic in its own right. Then
Baby, baby,
Usher,
baby, baby, baby.
right. Then Usher been doing his thing for many years. He continues to be relevant. He has hits well into the 2000s and 2010s and going forward. Um, Again, just on a personal level, I'm from my heart, just in reference to what culturally moves me more, what was a bigger soundtrack to my life, I have to go Jodeci.
Wow. That is really interesting that I wasn't expecting you to go that route. Um, what's interesting is that I think I agree.
What?
I really do. I think I agree. I just pulled it up. Jodeci, they had the three albums, Forever My Lady, Diary of a
They're a
Mad
mad band.
Band, and the show, the after party in the
Party
hotel.
in the hotel.
Yeah,
Yes.
just
Oh, come on now.
get on up. Woo, woo,
Come on now.
just fire. So yeah, just, we're going with feelings. Just yeah, soundtrack to your life. Their songs tie into moments that I'll always remember.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, they're awesome. So we've said everything that we could say about them. So this is going to be an epic battle. We're down to the final two. Mary J. Blige versus Jodeci. Like, are you serious?
Shout out Uptown
Amazing.
Records.
Oh, yep. Oh, yes. Yes. Andre Harrell. Oh my goodness. Absolutely. Yeah. I agree 100%. This is it. This is the final two. We have got to our final two, T.
Oh my God. Why is my heart racing? I feel like we've like really accomplished something.
Oh my goodness.
All right. So before we break down our finalists between Mary J. Blige and Jodeci, we did kind of want to point out a couple people that we felt were missing off the list. So we just wanted to come up with like a couple of people who we think were snubbed. Like, how could they forget about them? On the females list, we definitely want to recognize Lauryn Hill, even though she really basically had that one super iconic album that came out in '98, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Clearly that album just, from a listener, from a fan's perspective, but also from an industry perspective, that was they won album of the year for the Grammys. Like, how do you not recognize that? I'm not quite sure how she got left off this list, but X Factor, Everything is Everything, and Zion, like those songs were unforgettable. And it's just amazing how one album has impacted the music industry in so many ways. Like, she still get booked for shows based off this one album. Now she gonna show up late for the show,
Ooh.
but she
And they,
still
they said
getting booked.
she just got booked for Essence Fest this summer.
Well, good luck
That's a lot.
to.
And Megan Thee Stallion.
Oh, come on, Megan. Well, good luck
Mhm.
to the people who purchased tickets. I hope that you enjoy the show. But the fact that people are still willing to pay for tickets, even with her reputation as a performer, because that album and those songs resonate so much, I think it's very telling. I think that says a lot. So she's definitely a snub that was left off the list. Um, Another one, like, we tripping, right? Miss Janet Jackson, Miss Jackson, if you nasty. Now I understand that this was primarily meant to focus on 90s music, and obviously she had her super iconic Control album, but don't sleep on Miss Jackson in the 90s. She broke out with the Janet album in 93. She had the Velvet Rope album in 97. We had hits like That's the Way Love Goes, Anytime, Any Place. I get so lonely.
Oh, fire, fire. Love that song.
With the
Forever Jam.
with the Blackstreet on the remix on it. Come
Oh,
on.
yes.
Yeah, so they tried to do Miss Jackson and left her off the list, but she definitely would have, and it would have shook the whole thing up had she been added on there. I'm
Absolutely.
looking at it now, and we don't even talk about it. That's a whole other conversation. And lastly, for the ladies, I'm so confused how this incredible, incomparable voice of a generation was left off of this list, and that is Miss Whitney Elizabeth Houston. Again, of course, she came out in the mid to late 80s. However, in the 90s, she had a couple of albums come out. The I'm Your Baby Tonight album came out in 1990.
Hmm.
And then My Love Is Your Love came out in 98. And we're not going to talk
Fire.
about this movie soundtracks. The
Shuts it
Bodyguard soundtrack
shuts it
came out in
down.
92. Waiting to Exhale came out in 95. And even The Preacher's Wife came out in 96.
I forgot about the preacher's wife. It was
Yes.
epic, epic.
Yeah, and there were notable singles like the ballads All the Man I Need and even Heartbreak Hotel with Faith and Kelly, who were on the list.
Yeah, that's
But Miss
true.
Whitney wasn't. Okay, everybody right now on TikTok doing TikToks to It's Not Right, but It's Okay. And then obviously we do not want to forget the iconic, to this day, one of the just most amazing love songs ever written. That's I Will Always Love You.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so shout out to those three performers. Obviously, rest in peace to Queen Whitney, but there were definitely snubs on the list who we were kind of missing that we didn't see there. And just also want to acknowledge a couple of the fellas too that we felt like should have been given some love. And the first one we want to point out is The Bachelor, Genuine. Okay.
I'm just a bachelor.
Come on now. So he first came out in 96, and like everybody, people still now is running around singing Pony.
A
And then, of
mess.
course, my fave is So Anxious, my favorite Genuine song. And then Difference is like, come on, Genuine really
My
deserves some
whole
love on
life
this.
has changed.
Yes, come on
Hey.
now. And then another one who kind of was represented in the groups because he's a member of Guy, but as a soloist, Aaron Hall put out that epic album back in 93. Everybody was singing I Miss You.
That's
And
true.
then they had that extended version of Don't Be Afraid.
Mm-hmm.
Come on now. Everybody, y'all
Yeah.
know everybody played that on their
The
prom.
slow one, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, baby, don't you be
Right.
afraid.
Come on
Promise
now.
so. Yeah, fire.
They tried to do him. And then the last one we wanted to kind of point out as a snub was Michael Jackson. How do we leave him off this list? Now, obviously, his most iconic album was the Thriller album, which came out in the 80s. But in the
Right.
90s, Dangerous came out. And on Dangerous was Black and White, In the Closet, and of
Mhm.
course, everybody's favorite remember the time, like we all doing that little Egyptian dance to this day.
Yes. What about
Yeah.
us, girl? Yes,
Come on
fire.
now. So yeah, even though obviously Michael had a very long career that started well before the 90s, there were other artists that were on the list who had careers that started prior than specifically the 90s as
That's
well.
true.
So I really don't know of a other reason to have left Michael off, with the exception of maybe, some of the controversial things that happened like a little later in his life. And we
Hmm.
don't want to get into it. It may be comparable to why
The
the
person from
artist from
Chicago.
Chicago
Yeah, yeah,
wasn't left on this, which is, it's a shame, because that's another conversation.
it
Um,
is.
it's just a shame how he destroyed his legacy, and that's another
Hmm.
conversation. But I just wanted to point out a couple of snubs that we really thought were impactful during that decade, but didn't quite make it on the list.
Absolutely. Those were some good songs too that we didn't get a chance to talk about. But yeah, shout out to all of the artists who unfortunately did not make it to the bracket. But let's get back to the bracket. Let's get back to our final matchup. We finally at the end we have Mary J. Blige versus Jodeci. We all knew that this was coming. Okay.
Right. So somehow I just knew it was going to end up to this.
Yes. Okay. So, which artist represents the 90s? Who's your pick? Let's get to it.
This is not difficult for me. Um, and to be perfectly honest, I don't think it would have been difficult if anyone else were against this artist. But for me, it is Mary. Um, and I think it might be because just the feminine energy, because she was a woman speaking from a woman's point of view, and obviously I'm more connected to that because I identify as a woman. Um,
Yes, pronouns.
yes, trying to be respectful to everybody. And whereas Jody's music, of course, loved it. But obviously, if someone's speaking from their own voice, then as much as you enjoy that, it's just going to be a different level of connection to it. Mary just connects in a different way for me. Um, Again, her songs were my songs. Her songs were things that I was dealing with, things that I was going through. You see the evolution of her journey through her music. You see her struggles. You see her insecurities. You see her questioning herself. You see all that, and then you see the pivot. You see when her confidence build up through her music. You see where she went from, oh, I really wanted to be happy, to when she was feeling just fine.
Hmm.
And I feel like that journey with her music coincides to um levels that were happening in my life, that I will forever be connected to her as an artist. For me, this is a no-brainer. Championship of the world. Break out the Queen song. We Are the Champions goes to Miss Mary J. Blige. What you thinking, Nick?
Again, like a heart versus head situation. I'm going with my heart for all the reasons that you so eloquently stated. I am going with Mary J. Blige as the queen of the 90s, the top R&B act. Just she gives all the feels, like you said. She represented us regular black girls, and we're little hood, trying to find our way, trying to find out who
Mm-hmm.
we are, and just everything like that. Absolutely, 100%. We agree. So we are proud to announce that Mary J. Blige is the winner of the Music Sermon Madness 90s
Mary!
R&B tournament. Yes, she is the champion, well earned and well deserved for many, many years of just
Yay!
great music and just being an I did a spit take. Just being an amazing artist. So absolutely.
And shout out
There
to
you
all the
go.
artists who are represented here.
This was
Thank you.
fun and a little crazy at times,
It has
but
stressful moments, but that's what we do, y'all. And this is one of the reasons why we decided to start recording our conversations, because we do have moments where we have really different opinions, and a lot of people think that, you know, because you're sisters and even twins, that you kind of think the same way and have the same perspectives, but we really don't. And it's always interesting when we kind of lightweight get into it with each other. The good thing is that we can laugh about it when it's over, but sometimes in the middle
It
of those
took
moments,
years
it
for us
gets
to get there,
intense.
though. Yeah, it took years for us to get there, but
Yeah, a little
we kind of
therapy and
figured
some
out,
prayer.
yeah, all of the above, girl.
Right.
But overall, this was super, super, super fun. I hope you guys
Yeah.
enjoy this. Please, please go to Twitter or IG, Music Sermon on IG, and then Naima Cochran on Twitter. Please go get the bracket, sit down with a friend, and fill it out.
Trust me, we've done this like with a couple of other people. It is very entertaining.
Super
And there will
fun.
definitely be some people who gonna be ready to fight about a bracket. So
Yes, we want to know what you think. Please leave a comment. Please let us know because it's been a couple of disagreements. Let us know who you think was right. Okay.
yeah, and
We
let us
love hearing
also
from
know.
you.
Yeah, let us also know if there are any other snubs that you think should have been on the list. You know, we just kind of pulled out a couple, but if there's anybody else you think was deserving of being on this list who were impactful in the 90s, let us know.
Absolutely, 100%. So we want to thank you for checking us out, listening to the videos. Be sure to check out the first two videos because this is part 3. So check out the first 2 videos and remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Keep an eye out because we'll be having more content coming up really, really soon.
All right, good night, guys. Peace.
It's called the twin twist. We call this here a little twin.
Twin, that's my twin.